So a few months back, I actually made a bottom 5 Titan exotic video, and a few of those bottom exotics actually got kind of a buff and rework in Season of the Deep, and one of those is the Eternal Warrior helmet. We're going to be doing an entire build around this new and honestly probably like A tier exotic, and show you exactly how you can maximize all of its damage. But make sure you follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a like on this video, comment, subscribe, become a member, super thanks, you know, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, let's jump right on into this. So obviously we always start with the exotic itself and talk a little bit about it, and that is going to be the Eternal Warrior. Now, before this did get a bit of a rework and buff, its ability essentially was just giving you an overshield whenever you activated your Fists of Havoc, and that's it, literally. It was literally just get an overshield that more than likely would be ripped apart in like 2 seconds, and no other benefit other than that. It really was a terrible, terrible exotic. I'd probably say it's the worst one in the game, period. Doesn't matter what the class was. But now, its ability has completely and utterly changed. Resolute. Arc final blows grant escalating damage bonus with arc weapons. Gain an overshield when activating Fist of Havoc, and gain the highest tier damage bonus to arc weapons when your Fist of Havoc super ends. Overall, this is really, really solid and really helps kind of mitigate the need for surge mods, because that ×4 of this Resolute essentially is 25%, which is 3 more percent, than having full surge mods. And all you have to do is get kills. You don't have to get orbs of power and hold on to those charges. You literally just have to get arc kills with this. Now, I will say it can get a little funky sometimes, especially with bossing, since you're not really going to have all that many enemies to take advantage of. But this is going to be a phenomenal exotic if you're looking to just clear through content, maybe do some light bossing in the end, overall just essentially making sure that your entire push through a strike, a map, whatever it is pretty easy. Now, looking at our skill tree and exactly what we want to use for this setup, obviously Fist of Havoc is going to be an important one to use. Personally, I'd rather use Thunder Crash, but being able to use this, get it back fairly fast, honestly, and getting that max damage at the end of its use is really, really nice. Obviously, we want to be using Thruster so that we're able to constantly activate, have that quick start and stop ability. Now, you can go into barriers if you want, but I just think this is better for Arc 3.0. Thunderclap, absolutely. Pulse grenades, absolutely. Aspect-wise, Touch of Thunder is going to be important because it's going to give us those ionic traces whenever we get damage with our pulse grenade, and then Knockout so that we're constantly able to get some easy health regen whenever we get melee kills, and also the fact that it's going to give us some melee energy back whenever we do that. So again, really just taking advantage of Thunderclap and just health regen in general. I would say this is good to use against just super weak targets, especially if you're looking to get amplified. Fragments you want to use are Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an orb of power. We really just want that for some of the abilities we're using on our armors. Spark of Shock, your arc grenade jolts targets. Spark of Beacons, while you are amplified, your arc special weapon final blows create a blinding explosion, which is pretty much the entire time while you're doing it. It is really, really cool because all the enemies are essentially going to be constantly blinded, not really moving, and you're able to just absolutely lay into them. And then finally, Spark of Focus. After sprinting for a short time, your class ability regeneration is increased. Now, looking at the weapons we use for this class, my primary slot, I'm using a Scathe with Osmosis and Subsistence. This is just an in general solid weapon to pull out, if I'm just looking to maximize my special ammo, my heavy ammo at a time. Because of that Osmosis, all I have to do is just chuck my grenade and suddenly this becomes an arc weapon, being able to take advantage of that Eternal Warrior ability, and Subsistence is just solid all around. What I think is probably the best arc weapon to use with this setup is going to be the Cold Heart. This was originally a pre-order weapon when D1 first came out, but not D1, D2 first came out, but is now available for anyone to get, but it's pretty much just a random drop and or from Xur. So if you have one, easy peasy, just slap it on. If not, you're gonna have to wait I'll give you some other suggestions for arc weapons at the end, but I like this just because the cold fusion ability, as this weapon shoots, it's going to deal more damage the longer it is on a target. So this actually becomes a decent bossing weapon. And again, obviously it's going to ramp up in damage as you use it. So combined with Eternal Warrior, you're just going to be able to pump out a lot of arc damage. And also the longest winter ability periodically generates iron traces while it's in the high damage state, just essentially being able to juice up our abilities for us. And then finally, for a power slot, I like to use Wendigo. You can pretty much use any arc weapon that you want in that heavy slot. I just think this is the most solid one for me right now. Since we are in the Season of the Deep, you got the season pass, you have access to the centrifuge. I think this is a solid weapon to put in the place of the Cold Heart if you're not able to use it, just because you're able to take advantage of pretty much everything the Cold Heart has. Obviously you have a smaller mag to deal with, but other than that, it's still a super solid weapon. When it comes to how you want to set up this build, obviously on the helmet, you're going to be wanting to use Arc Siphon to create orbs of power with your Cold Heart or just whatever arc weapon you're using. And then I always like to just have an Ashes to Assets and a hands-on socketed in, just because, again, being able to just give us extra super energy just for doing these things we're constantly doing anyway is really nice. On our gloves, we're going pretty grenade heavy. I think this entire setup is definitely more grenade heavy, just because I can chuck a lot more of those and take better advantage of it, especially with our aspects. But firepower, obviously getting orb power whenever we throw a grenade, get a kill. Bolstering detonation so that we get class ability, and then grenade kickstart. I like to use this just to essentially make sure that we're constantly taking advantage of the orbs that are going to be around the map and everything. It's not only just going to be grenade energy for us, it's going to also take advantage of that, so we really like it. On our chest piece, we got double arc reserves just to take advantage of as much arc ammo as humanly possible, essentially giving us 600 plus, especially in our Cold Heart, but also it's going to give Wendigo a lot more in the mag as well. And then a concussive dampener just to help out with some of the damage resistance on this setup. There is going to be an artifact slot that is going to help out with this, but I don't have it unlocked yet. Boots, we're going to go double absolution just to, again, get all those ability cooldowns, and then a recuperation to get a little bit of health whenever we pick up an orb of power. And then our Titan Mark, double distribution, so that whenever we use that thrust around people, we're getting all that energy back. And then a Reaper for that once we use that and get a kill, we're going to get an orb of power out of it. For the artifact, obviously, we're going to be focusing more on stuff in these two categories. Definitely want to get those arc mods there, and absolutely want to get electric armor to stay amplified longer, and then also thunderous retort, so that whenever we are critical while amplified, we're getting extra super damage. So we really enjoy this. But I was talking about before, something down the road to kind of help out a little bit with the damage resistance amped up. That's going to be the next thing I'm going to go into, getting damage resistance while I am amplified. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Eternal Warrior all of a sudden has this huge 180 and suddenly is a really solid exotic. It's essentially just now the arc version of the Path of the Burning Steps, providing a solid boost to our weapon damage without taking advantage of surge mods, which I kind of like, because then we're able to, use a little bit more throughout our Buildcraft 2.0 and don't have to just focus on those surge mods constantly, keeping them up. All you do is get kills, and then you are able to do a lot of damage. We're going to be trying out a couple other of these exotic weapons and armor pieces that got a bit of a tune-up here soon. Ideally going to be doing a Stronghold Heart Shadow setup. Really excited about that, and also a no backups plans with a special exotic that I think 99% of you have probably completely and utterly forgotten about. But until then, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to follow me on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give it a thumbs up on this video, comment down below, become a member, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But regardless, I hope you have a great night, day, or whatever it may be.